There are 5 things that you need to consider before buying a reliable and useful light. So if it's time to buy your first LED light for your studio or client work, in this video I have you covered with a very nice piece of gear, which is this one right here. This light was sent to me for free by GVM, and the things that I will say in this video are my own conclusions after 3 weeks of using this light called Pro SD300B. So, big thanks to GVM for sending this product, links in the description. Okay, so the first thing that you need to consider is to choose a light that's affordable for you. And in the same time, it delivers what you need, because you can find lights from very cheap to very expensive, and very expensive doesn't necessarily mean that the light fits your needs. Sometimes you pay a lot just because it's a certain brand. The GVM Pro SD300B costs $389. And as soon as you start looking online for other similar lights from other brands with similar features, you'll notice that some of them have really premium prices, like for example, $800 or even more. And in the next minutes, you'll see what this GVM light can do for you so you can make a better purchasing decision. The second thing that needs your attention is the light quality and the color temperature. Now, I gotta say from the start that the light quality coming out from the Pro SD300B from GVM is very good and constant even if you use it on long-lasting sessions. Now, I don't want to get too much into the technical stuff, but you need to know that the higher the value is for the CRI, the more accurate and reliable a light is. And in this case, for this light, it's 97 plus, which is a very good value. Being a bicolor light, the color temperature can be set from 2700 Kelvin to 6800 Kelvin, which is a very useful thing because you can adapt the light when you film outside, when it's sunny or when it's cloudy. And you can also use it to create a nice mood if you use 2 lights. You can have a main light at 5600 Kelvin, and you can set the second light in the background to create a much cooler bluish tone at 6800 Kelvin. Now, the third thing that you need to consider is the brightness of the light and the control of the light. This light has 300 watts, which is more than enough for making videos in your studio, for taking interviews, or even bigger projects for bigger clients. And I'm filming now at f2.8, ISO 800 and C-Log 3, and the power of the light is at only 8%. How do I know this? Because I use the GVM app, which is a very well-made app that I really enjoy using. So, for example, I can turn off the light from here, I can turn it on, I can use the dial from the top to set a custom temperature in Kelvin. I can also have presets for this, so for example 3200 Kelvin, 4300 Kelvin, or 5600 Kelvin. There are 4 dimming curves here that you can use, and also at the bottom you have this slider which is right now at 8%, and now I'm pushing it slowly to 100%. And if I check my monitor right here, I can clearly see that I'm well overexposed right now. So I need to go back to about 8%. And it's actually pretty easy to set it back to 8% because, as you can see at the bottom, there's that slider for brightness, but I also have plus and minus, and this gives me the ability to step up or step down incrementally with 0.1%. So I think it's pretty bright at 300 watts, right? And I love the fact that from 0 to 100% you have fine brightness adjustments, and this makes the lighting more professional in my opinion. The light has the same controls at the back. The 2 knobs control the power and the Kelvin temperature, and the LCD screen is actually very helpful and minimalistic. There are 12 dynamic effects you can use with different intensities, speed, and Kelvin values if you want to mimic strobes, candles, TVs, lightnings, or fire effects. There are also 12 light source presets, just like for different white balance values in your camera. For each of them, you have the option to set custom intensity levels. And you can also control the fan levels. There are 3 options: smart, high, and silent. When you put it on silent, you limit the maximum power of the light, and the fan noise is barely noticeable, trust me. I have the microphone here, and I will pause for 3 seconds just to let you hear the fan noise, if you hear any. Because I can't. I can't hear it. So in the studio, you can let it on silent mode because you don't need that huge 300 watts power. When shooting for clients, maybe you'll need to push the lights further away from the person. So yes, you need the maximum power, 300 watts. In that case, you can set it on high, but even with this setting, I think the fan noise is perfectly fine and it's not causing any audio issues. And the smart mode decides when it needs to cool the light down if it's getting hot from the maximum power, so it may fluctuate, and in that point you can hear some differences in the fan noise. So this is why I recommend you to put it on manual, on silent, or on the high setting. By doing so, the noise coming from the fan will be constant, so you can take it out if you want in audio post-processing. Okay, so the fourth thing you need to consider is the build quality and future proofing. Honestly, the light itself looks very good. It's from metal. I like the combination between red and black. The GVM text is actually emitting light and it looks so cool. The light overall feels very sturdy. And when you want to fix it in position, it's relatively easy to handle, but I would prefer an easier way than this. Maybe one single handle like on this other light that I have in the studio from a different brand. I think the light is future-proof because it uses the balance mount, so you can attach many accessories very easily. Now, the only accessory that I got in the box is this reflector, but GVM has some nice-looking softboxes, for example, with different sizes depending on the space that you have right now in your studio. You'll find some links below. Also, if you have 2 or 3 lights like this, you can control them all with the same app using the Mesh Bluetooth control. And I think this is a very handy option, especially when you work with multiple lights at once. And when it comes to future-proofing, I also think about how can I power the light outside my studio, and also how can I transport it safely from one location to another. This light can be used with V-mount batteries, but you'll need to purchase the external power supply box plus the V-port battery separately. Also, I really like the carrying case of this light. It's very durable. I like the texture of the material and the walls are really thick, so the light is well protected inside. This carrying case will last for a long time. Okay, so the fifth thing that you need to consider is how can you use a light in other creative ways? For example, if your budget is a bit low at this point, you can just buy the light without the softbox. But then you also need a way to make the shadows softer when you film, because if you just use the reflector, by pointing directly the light to your subject, you'll get very harsh and unpleasing shadows. So a creative way to get around with this is to bounce the light from your ceiling or from a side wall if your walls are white. And this way you'll simulate kind of a softbox because the shadows become much softer than before. And by doing this, you save some space because you don't use a softbox in the room. And you also save money if this is your first investment in a professional light. But keep in mind that when you film for a client, you will usually need a softbox as well. At a price which is under $400, my honest opinion is that this GVM 300 watts bi-color light is a very good balance between your budget and what it offers. So yes, I recommend it, but the choice, as always, is yours. Check the links in the description.